Hello everyone, my name is Sean. I am the Crypto Smith. Welcome back to the channel. And guess what we're going to talk about today, right? Today is June 13th and we had the release of the Hinman emails. Now, if you watched my videos yesterday, you would know kind of where I stand on this. I didn't think it was going to be a very big deal, but I was hoping, really for something a little bit more, a little bit meat, on the bone on this one. But I want to go through what these emails showed. And they did show a lot of, I think, what we thought they were going to show, that the SEC is basically corrupt, that Hinman was acting in bad faith, and that pretty much all of the other actors at the SEC who knew that this was going on and that these things existed at the SEC or even at an industry level, and they did nothing, and they still brought the suit against Ripple. So this is from Stuart Alderati, and he is the general counsel for Ripple. Obviously involved in the lawsuit. And this is a video that they put together actually early this morning after they received a bunch of the emails and documents. They were able to kind of piece this timeline together, and it's really good, and it's a lot quicker and more concise, and obviously very much more professional than I can give it to you because he made all sorts of points here, which are all going to be explained in this 4-minute video.
2018.
And after the video, then I'm going to go ahead and give you my thoughts on the subject and where we go from here and price action going forward for XRP. All right, watch, enjoy. I'll see you in 4 minutes and 38 seconds.
On June 14, 2018, then SEC Director of Corporation Finance William Hinman gave a high-profile speech where he declared that a token is not a security when it becomes, quote, sufficiently decentralized. But internal emails and documents show that senior SEC officials repeatedly warned Hinman that his speech wasn't true to the law and would greatly confuse the markets even more than they already were. Now, after more than 2 years and 7 court orders, we can finally share some of what we found in the Hinman speech documents. The SEC head of trading and markets warned Hinman that he was making up factors that, quote, go beyond the typical Howey analysis, as in not in the law, and that the speech could lead to not just confusion, but greater confusion on what is a security. Hinman ignored him.
If the network on which the token or coin is to function is sufficiently decentralized, and the purchasers no longer have a reasonable expectation that a person or a group is going to carry out essential managerial or entrepreneurial efforts, those assets might not represent an investment contract.
The same official told Hinman he should tie his speech, quote, more closely and explicitly to the Howey analysis. Hinman not only ignored him, but deliberately created factors beyond those identified by the Supreme Court in the Howey case.
I wanted to just note a few things. This list is not meant to be exhaustive, but these are things that we look at.
The SEC's own general counsel warned specifically that it's legally irrelevant if someone retains a stake in a token and is motivated to take action to increase its value, and that Hinman should delete it from the speech. And once again, Hinman ignored them and said without any legal support that it was important to ask.
As that person or group retained a stake or other interest in the digital asset such that it would be motivated to expend efforts to cause an increase in the value of the digital asset.
Both Trading and Markets and the General Counsel also disagreed with Hinman's belief that if a network was sufficiently decentralized, information asymmetries would no longer exist, noting that a network creator would likely have more information than a retail holder, using Vitalik Buterin as an example. They warned Hinman that by creating this, quote, other category and focusing on information asymmetries, he was exposing a regulatory gap that the SEC may not have the jurisdiction to fill. Again, Hinman ignored them.
As the network becomes more truly decentralized, the ability to identify a promoter or to make the requisite, and someone that could actually make the requisite disclosures becomes in many cases difficult or and perhaps much less meaningful.
On June 4th, Hinman wrote that he didn't see a, quote, need to regulate Ether as a security, and set up a call with Ethereum's co-founder Vitalik Buterin later that week to, quote, confirm our understanding. On June 11th, the SEC's own general counsel advised against including any direct statement about Ether in the speech because it would be difficult for the SEC to, quote, take a different position on Ether in the future. The next day, Trading and Markets wrote that the statements about Ether were, quote, likely to create more confusion. Hinman ignored all of them and decided to make headlines, picking winners and losers instead.
Moreover, putting aside the fundraising that accompanied the creation of Ether, Based on my understanding of the present state of Ether, the Ethereum network, its decentralized structure, we believe current offers and sales of Ether are not securities transactions.
The emails show that Hinman knew he wasn't following the law. He knew he was making things up. And he knew that his speech would result in greater confusion in an already confused market. But Hinman went ahead with the speech anyway. And the SEC, despite knowing all this, touted the speech repeatedly. The SEC chairman himself pointed market participants to the speech.
Bill Hinman recently outlined the approach we take to evaluate whether a digital asset is a security, and I encourage you to take a look at Bill's speech, which is available on our website.
The SEC knew the speech didn't follow the law. The SEC knew the speech would create greater confusion, and the SEC knew Hinman was making things up. So why is the Hinman speech still on the SEC's website? Why was it ever allowed to be given at all? And why has the SEC pushed a policy of regulation by enforcement, falsely insisting the rules are clear?
All right. Hopefully you enjoyed that and gained some more insight from these emails. Now, I want to go through here at the end of it, at the end of Stuart Alderoty's comment section, basically on Twitter. This is what should happen now. First, remove the speech immediately from the SEC's website. This speech is still on the website, even though they said it was his personal opinion, and they gave a lot of excuses on why they couldn't give up the emails in the first place. We had to fight for it. But clearly, it wasn't meant to be guidance, because Hinman basically went against all of the advice of the people he was getting, this information from, and he just went ahead and did what he wanted anyway, and he declared ETH a commodity. So, and next, an investigation must be conducted to understand what or who influenced Hinman, why conflicts, or at the very least appearances of conflicts were ignored, and why the SEC touted the speech knowing that it would create greater confusion. Remember, not just confusion, but additional confusion. And finally, Hinman's speech should never again be invoked in any serious discussion. Obviously, because Hinman is not the court. He doesn't get to decide what new rules are going to be applied to a Howey test to determine whether something's a security or not. So what this video does is show proof once and for all on unethical and corruption at the SEC. And why does he give this speech after all? Well, I think it's pretty clear. He was an acting director at a law firm, and one of their biggest clients was the Ethereum Foundation. Now, clearly, he has a financial interest in moving the market in favor of Ethereum. And if he gets a big speech out there and he's representing the SEC and he says Ethereum is a commodity and not a security, obviously, the markets are going to rise on that information, and he gets to benefit from that. And why do I say the SEC itself is corrupt? Because they knew this existed. They knew there was confusion in the marketplace, and that this speech added more confusion to the marketplace. And they still brought a suit against Ripple, claiming that they should have known that what they were doing was securities and that all the cryptos are securities. The very first part of the lawsuit, where they're suing Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson, saying that they recklessly sold illegal securities and they should have known somehow. And it was clear to everybody what the rules of the road are, even though in their back office discussions, they say it is unclear what is a security and what is not a security in the digital asset space. So we have all of that, right? And now this is conclusive proof of what we've thought this entire time. Now, the disappointing part for me personally, I was hoping there was going to be a little more to it as far as them mentioning Ripple or XRP in here somehow. That was really going to kind of get Ripple off the hook and really help this lawsuit in their favor. But it really doesn't do that specifically. But what it does is show the judge, right? Remember, the judge has already seen all of this stuff. Unredacted has seen literally everything and knows what's in this and knows what was going on behind the scenes. But it shows that the SEC is not acting in good faith. They are not following the law, that they knew otherwise, that there was no clarity in the marketplace, and they're trying to bring a suit claiming that there is absolute clarity. Ripple should have known. Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson should have known. what exactly was a security and what was a commodity in the crypto space. Would clearly that just wasn't true, right? And so the judge already knows this. So as far as the first part of that lawsuit against Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson personally, I expect they're going to win that one outright. The SEC is definitely going to take an L there. Who knows what's going to happen, with the summary judgment coming up. But hopefully we will see justice being done. We will see some good moves. It may not be all positive for Ripple. There may be some sort of punitive damages awarded as far as selling securities in the very beginning, and maybe that was the case, right? I don't know. I'm not an attorney. But now let's look at the price of XRP and what happened. Everybody thought it was going to just pump massively, and I, if you watch my video yesterday, I said I thought it was going to be kind of a buy the rumor, sell the news type of event. And it wasn't going to be as massive as people were predicting because honestly, in crypto, we're used to getting disappointments on a daily basis. And that's, I'm not going to say it was disappointing. I'm going to say there just wasn't much there to be that excited about because it didn't really mention XRP or Ripple. They didn't settle, obviously, before the emails came out, which some people were speculating that was going to happen. There was going to be a quick settlement so that the emails didn't come out, but that didn't happen. There is no summary judgment as of yet. And you can see right here, this is a buy the rumor, right, and then sell the news. This candle right here is exactly when the Hinman emails and all the other documents were released early this morning. And then it pumped up real quick, a sharp wick. This is a 1 hour time frame. And then because there wasn't really, the bombshells, I think, that people were expecting, it wasn't really, kind of an over the top indictment of the SEC and of particular individuals, and it was just going to absolutely crater the SEC's case. But it didn't do any favors for the SEC, that is for sure, and it's probably going to help Coinbase and Binance and anybody else that the SEC is suing going forward. Thusly, we see the drop. People maybe were disappointed that there wasn't more to it, so they sold off, and now we've kind of settled right back to where we started. So just keep that in mind for the next event that happens or anything that you're watching, a token that you're looking at. Buy the rumor, sell the news is a very real thing in crypto, and it probably is in the stock market. I just don't follow it. But what happens now? So I think we're going to waffle around here. I don't think there's anything else coming out until we see summary judgment. I think summary judgment, we're going to see another pump coming up to it, right? And we may not know exactly when that's going to happen. So it's going to be a little less. I don't think the judge is going to say, hey, next Wednesday, I'm going to go ahead and release summary judgment because that's definitely going to move markets in one way or another. So it'll kind of be, we'll find out rapidly, what's going to happen. And depending on the outcome of that summary judgment, that's where we're going to see the price move. But again, I don't think we're going to see massive pumps, even if Ripple does very well in the lawsuit and the judge comes out and claims or says that XRP is not a security, it's a commodity. It's definitely not a security in the secondary markets. But I don't believe we're going to see massive pumps until we get a bull run with utility. Remember, they're still building utility, and likely we have at least another year, 2, 3 years to go. I don't expect much of anything as far as price movement goes. I mean, we could meander up to $1, maybe $1.50, $2, but I don't see that explosive price movements that people are predicting, in the $10, $25, $50 range. I don't see that for many years, and definitely utility has to be involved for that to happen, in my opinion. So there you have it. That was today's excitement, right? It was all over Twitter, all over YouTube. Social media is going crazy. We got a few stories out there in the media, but now we have it, right? We all know now that the SEC does not have faithful allegiance to the law, just as Judge Torres stated earlier in the case. So now we just have to wait and see when this summary judgment's coming down. Some people, again, they're just going to speculate and predict, it's going to be the end of the week. It's going to be next week. We have literally no idea. It could be September. We just don't know. So anyway, hang on until then. Obviously, there'll be more news in between. And with that, I will see you all next time.